U.S. public support declines for arming Ukraine. Reuters. Ipsos. Reuters. Support is falling among Americans of both major political parties for supplying Ukraine with weapons, a warning sign for Kyiv, which relies heavily on U.S. arms to fight against a Russian invasion, according to a new Reuters Ipsos poll. The two-day poll, which closed on Wednesday, showed only 41% of respondents agreed with a statement that Washington should provide weapons to Ukraine, compared to 35% who disagreed and the rest unsure. Support for U.S. weapon shipments is down from May, when. Below are your comments. This poll is highly inaccurate. It depends on location of the poll mostly. I wasn't asked. And 1005 isn't nearly enough. Ukraine is just one more U.S. foreign policy failure, akin to Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan that never have happened. We have made enemies around the world with our sanctions, invasions, frozen forexes. The last sanctions on Russia's forex were the causation of the rapid rise of BRICS+, where the majority of U.S. support the Ukrainians and are willing to do what we can to support their effort in defending themselves. The Russians have done what they do best: infiltrate their opponents. Who were their opponents? U.S.? Does anybody remember how much the GQP Republican death cult used to? The way I read it, Americans are tired of the whole thing and can't see why a continuous stream of American dollars adds quality or quantity to their own lives, which are tough enough for them. Why should they see to those elements for another country? What's Ukraine ever done for us? Trade? So. Next news. Some 50 European leaders are to stress their support for Ukraine at a meeting in Spain. Associated Press. Some 50 European leaders used a summit in southern Spain's Granada on Thursday to stress they stand by Ukraine at a time when Western resolve appears somewhat weakened. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that maintaining such unity was now the main challenge. Zelensky flew in early in the morning to the meeting of the European Political Community Forum, which was formed in the wake of Russia's February 2022 invasion of Ukraine that drastically reset the continent's political agenda. Below are your comments. I want the U.S. to help Ukraine. But Europe are the ones in that area. Any of them is vulnerable. If they don't help Ukraine, they deserve all things that will do harm to their nations. Let's stop Russia here. No more. 50 European nations can't provide sufficient funding and military support to Ukraine to halt alleged Russian aggression? Might as well cancel NATO. Then let those 50 little countries foot the bill too. The U.S. has sent its last dollar. I'm fed up with Biden sending just enough weapons to keep the war alive while bleep people on both sides. We should be sending enough weapons to help Ukraine win the war. The people of Ukraine have been fighting for their country and for democratic freedom. We have over 40 F-16s roasting on th. Yes, powerhouses like Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania for example. Just vassal states for propaganda use really roaring under the skirt of the US. Please wait a moment. Next news. Ukrainian defenders bleeped 580 Russian soldiers and destroy 26 armored combat vehicles in one day. Ukrainska Pravda. Over the past day, Russia lost approximately 580 servicemen, 31 artillery systems, 12 tanks and 26 RMOURED combat vehicles in its war against Ukraine. Source: General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine on Facebook. Details. The total combat losses of Russian troops between the 24th of February 2022 and the 5th of October 2023 are estimated to be as follows. Figures in parentheses represent the latest losses, ed. Below are your comments. So many haters here. Well, my cup of coffee and good news to start my day. As to the haters not believing, most of these numbers are close to what other intelligence agencies believe is right. Many of the media outlets inside of Russia confirm these numbers. Not the state-run media, but a good mug of coffee and this report is a great way to start my day. Does anyone anywhere believe any of these figures in this conflict? Russians will claim they bleep 10,000 in a day and reel off an absurd list of equipment destroyed. It will be an exaggeration of the truth just as much as the Ukrainians' figures. This war is almost similar to the situation with the US in Vietnam. They underestimated the enemy. ND thought they could roll on through, but instead they massively beat Russia, being in the position of the US except the air, the enemy and invaders. How long will this bloodshed go on until Russia f? Yay, right. Next news. Ukraine war latest. Kyiv says special forces conduct operation in occupied Crimea. Kyiv Independent. Ukrainian special forces landed in Russian-occupied Crimea and conducted a combat operation, Ukraine's military intelligence agency, HER, announced via a video published online on October. The video shows special forces using boats to land on a beach at night, where they unfurl a Ukrainian flag with the HER emblem. Below are your comments. Reports of 16 Kiev special forces on a PR stunt mission to Crimea. 12 of them are bleep on the ground, 1 captured alive, and 2 unaccounted for. Maybe they made it back. Kiev is definitely losing on the ground, but is trying to win on social media. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu spoke about the formation of 9 reserve regiments for a special military operation. According to him, they are regularly replenished by contractors. In a month, 38,000 volunteers were recruited to the troops to perform combat missions in the special operation. Send more borrowed money, more weaponry, that is showing up around the world. Next news. Russians attack infrastructure facility in Kirovohrad Oblast at night. Ukrainska Pravda. An infrastructure facility in Ukraine's Kirovohrad Oblast was hit as a result of a Russian night attack by drones. There were no casualties. Source: Andriy Rykovich, head of the Kirovohrad Oblast Military Administration, on Telegram. Defense Forces of Ukraine's South on Telegram. Quote from Rykovich. The Russian aggressor attacked Kirovohrad Oblast with drones at night. Below are your comments. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu spoke about the formation of 9 reserve regiments for a special military operation. According to him, they are regularly replenished by contractors. In a month, 38,000 volunteers were recruited to the troops to perform combat missions in the special operation. In other news, Russia is transporting its Black Sea Fleet because they're losing a naval war to a country with no navy. Never any actual photos. Ukrainska Pravda. Another U.S.-installed, communist Zionist Zelensky propaganda outlet. Next news. Ukraine is not ready to join EU because it is corrupt, former President of European Commission. Ukrainska Pravda. Jean-Claude Juncker, former President of the European Commission, believes that Ukraine does not yet meet the criteria for membership in the European Union because of heavy corruption. However, the prospect of accession should be preserved for Ukraine. Below are your comments. And our good old Biden sends billion, unaccounted for, to this country. Someone needs to check out Jean-Claude Juncker's personal financial records to make absolutely certain he's not on Putler's payroll. As you never know these days. Another one of those. When will he travel to Moscow and snuggle up to Putin? The pot calling the kettle black. Haha, no kidding. Next news. At least 27 people bleeped by Russians who returned from war in Ukraine. Ukrainska Pravda. According to media estimates, the Russian soldiers and mercenaries of paramilitary groups who returned from the war in Ukraine committed at least 20 crimes in which 27 people died. Former fighters of the Wagner Private Military Company, PMC, are to be blamed for these crimes. Below are your comments. The plague little Putin has unleashed on the Russian people has many prongs. However, the Russian population remains complicit in the acceptance of whatever fate appointed them by the little madman they call their leader. American criminals bleep more people than Russian criminals. We have guns, Russians do not. Please subscribe to my channel. And if you like it, please thumbs up.